Good morning, everybody. This is Pixis Designs. I have a much more completed version of the Demon sitting on my what looks like a really small worktop table, but in fact it is a big worktop table. This thing is just effing massive. Yeah, so only thing I have left to do is I need to print my tracks. They are actually, I'm running a test piece right now on my XL because the track is about 10 inches in diameter, and that is the only machine I can run it on. So really all I have left on this big massive MF is to run 4 tracks, and this thing will be considered complete for a prototype. I've had to go back and make some modifications to some pieces, and I can kind of go over that with you right now. But you know, everything, let me just kind of show you here that everything does move around. Make sure I'm still in frame here. So you have the movement of the dispoler itself. This is really loose because I was a little under dimensioning my mount point, so this is actually also going to be fixed as well, so it'll be a lot more stout, so it won't be so jiggly like a bobbly head. And also this will be probably a separate piece because the way I have to print it and the way that snaps into this mounting point, there's only one good way to print that to be able to make it do that, and that's with this on the print bed itself. So this is going to have to be a separate piece and mount to this swivel piece in order for this to all congeal correctly. And I'm going to go ahead and set him aside for now. But yeah, this all came out great. I've actually got, I'll have to pull the camera off to show you this part. This is actually supposed to be a piece that is glued into there, so it's not going to be that difficult. So that's your moving missiles. I got this as close to the original missiles as I could, and they're kind of a pain in the butt to print too. Just the fact that it's this silk, which just tears apart so easy. So those that are going to be ordering this, be delicate with all the missiles. They will break. Luckily these side pieces it's not really a stressed piece to be able to move in and around, so they should be okay, I would hope. So yep, that has the same yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this camera off. Actually, let me demonstrate one thing real quick before I do that. It does go up. It's heavy, but it does go up and it does lock into place. Just like that. I don't know if you were able to see some of my videos, but just kind of go back a couple of videos that I produced and you'll be able to see how I get those to lock in. It's definitely not like the original. And in fact, let me kind of show off the size comparison between this and the original. It's a monster. I took this in on my bathroom scale and I weighed it with the despoiler, and it weighs in at roughly 11.5 pounds right now, and that's before I add the tracks to it, so it's probably going to be right around 12.5 pounds once all is said and done. Okay, let me get this thing out of the way. There was just no good way to show off most everything, so I need two hands. One of the pieces, or two of the pieces rather, two of the other pieces that I know that I need to redo is this was working, but with any hinge system, you can't, well, I'll just show you. You can't make a hinge system work, running this horizontal to the print bed. These snapped off pretty quick. I was kind of expecting it. This is really just, again, this is all a prototype, so I just wanted to make sure everything worked and fitted the way I needed it to, and then I was going to go back and make the alterations that I needed to make. But this will have to be, all three of these will have to be some form of a push pin system that mounts the top to this piece right here. That way it doesn't, break. So, okay, let me go ahead and get my phone off here and kind of show you around. So these are where they broke. These will all have to be separate pieces that push into this piece right here. That way that doesn't happen again. Another thing is this is a matte Polylite PLA. It looks great, but it's not very sturdy, so I will probably be having to print with more of a professional PLA. I need something that's a lot more rigid. It looks great. I mean, anything with the matte printing, you're just hardly going to see any, anything passing the 5 foot appearance, any layer lines or whatever. This looks fantastic. But I do need to move to a different, this is just what I had in stock. I had 3 rolls of it, so I wanted to go ahead and use it. It looks great, but I'll probably be moving to more of a silver color. And I think I'm okay with moving to a silver just because, it kind of looks silver, I guess. I don't know. I'll see what colors they have. But yeah, this will fit your bigger characters in the front and in the middle. Not so much the back. I may go ahead and try and extend this bottom piece down to fit longer legs. It just depends on who you want to throw back here. You got a little monitor there, some buttons and stuff. I tried to do as much detail as I could to mimic the original, but in the end, it's not original. I'm not trying to make it like the original product, so I can go on and try and just keep on adding details. But for what this is, it looks fantastic. Sometimes minimalist is good. And it really just adds to the print time. And again, this is also FDM printed. None of this is SLA or resin printed. And there's only so much detail you can actually get out of an FDM printer. And so I think the achievement here is pretty good for what we needed. There's some cup holders. I didn't even check. No, it will not fit a beer bottle. Darn. Pull that out. Okay. So, put this back on here. This is acrylic glass. I I cut it on my laser. You rotate this around. And as you can see, I do have a dual color printing. You can actually see that. Rotate this thing back around over here. So this is that same silk color. So I've got some details printed up on that as well. And the light, I do plan on making an acrylic piece for this as well, just like the original right there. Not so much this though. I'm not going to be adding that piece onto it. I don't know if there's a good way that I can actually do that to this to make it look good. It'll get rid of some of the structural rigidity inside that spot there, and I'd rather keep it as solid as possible, and this thing is definitely solid. Let me spin this thing around. I still need to model the gun that goes back here. If we look down, see I made a little modification of myself. That is definitely not on the original. I just thought it would look cool, so I just kind of put it in there. Let me flip this thing over real quick. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Because I showed you last time the underside of the chassis. Let me just pull these out. So nothing falls and breaks. And let me put this on too. So there's the some added detail. I went ahead and reprinted that whole bottom chassis just because I needed to put holes for this and this to attach to. So I went ahead and redid the whole thing. So this is the outcome that I really wanted right here. A little uniformity throughout the whole part. And of course I got the added machine guns, Gatling turrets up underneath there. The original did not have that. I gotta add my own personal touches, you know. Overall, this thing just feels really good. It is so solid. It's heavy. I'm gonna have to find a way to lighten this thing up because that weight, it's an impressive weight. Yeah, let me show this part right here. So, just like the original, it's got these little curvy things that locks into the pin. This is kind of like what I was talking about. Whenever you're printing a pretty structural component, you're going to want it to print on your bed like that. And this is one of those pieces that this is supposed to be glued into this main body here so it doesn't move. And then, well, actually I need to pull that out real quick to install it. And then this would end up getting glued into here. So yeah, being the prototype, there are going to have to be some things that I need to revise on this. I knew it's always going to happen with a new part like this. I was going over the numbers on, so just some numbers here. On print time, it takes about 320 hours to print all the parts for this, to get it all together. And that calculation is assuming that the trucks are going to print as fast as what they're hopefully going to print. I'm still waiting to see how fast they do print. They're supposed to take around 11 hours to print each individual one. So that's, you know, you're already looking at about 45 hours right there alone just printing the tracks. Again, weighs, it's going to be weighed about 12 and a half pounds, so it's going to require a pretty heavy duty box, a big box as well. There's, let me get this thing up here. I'll have to figure out how I'm going to be packaging this thing up. It's going to at least require a, well, let me get a size here. Well, probably, if not a 20-inch box, if they have those, at least a 24-inch box. So, and normally those boxes come cubed, so they'll end up being a 24 by 24 by 24, which is usually pretty expensive to ship out. So, shipping on these things will probably be around $25–35. So that'll have to be calculated in the cost of the number that I'm fixing to give you, which This won't be cheap, guys. This will definitely be the most expensive item that I make to date. I know it leaves a lot of you out. I'll probably be looking at roughly $450 just for the demon. The despoiler is another 100, I think 115 or 120. So for a package deal, you're probably looking at close to 450, 120, 570, almost $600. Probably closer to 625 once you include shipping. So I guess we will know more once it comes time to me having a completed product. This thing does have absolute shelf presence. It's massive, and you can obviously see over here by my Arctic Ripsaw exactly how big this thing is. I know I kind of showed it off in the last video, but you weren't able to see the full thing. Get him out of here. Let's throw these missiles back in. Okay. That's Ripsaw in comparison to size. I mean, it is a big difference when you're talking about seating 3 people compared to 1 person. And again, there's the original there. So I'm sure there's going to be questions about whether or not I can do this in gold just like the original was. Probably, but I don't really want to. Gold silk is already a pain in the ass enough to print. To make structural parts out of it is just kind of makes things worse. I can see how one goes, but that's probably not going to be something that's going to happen. What I could end up doing though is actually make some gold accents in here, just to kind of make it pop a little bit instead of just being in an all black. Kind of like how I, did some of this stuff here. And here is my testing of the tracks. So far it's looking good. It should be done in a couple hours. That way I can see whether or not the fitment is correct. And hopefully my numbers are right. We will see. And that way I can just go ahead and rip those things out the next couple of days and have some completed tracks for this thing. Otherwise I'll have to do some remodeling. But that's pretty much all the updates that I have today. I'm excited. I did a little media blast on this thing with all the pictures, and it just, man, this thing just looks great. Again, make sure that you have a very sizable shelf to be able to put something like this on. I guess one thing I do need to show real quick. I haven't shown how deep this thing is. So you would need, I know this would probably fit on top of a Detolf easily. But shelf wise, you would need probably at least a 14-inch shelf. Well, actually, if the wheels were all the way to the end, this would fit on a 12-inch shelf. Well, Yeah, it would fit on a 12-inch shelf. Depends on how close your shelves are to your wall. Because that little booty back there is going to be sticking pretty close to that wall. Okay, guys, that is it for this week. I will make an updated video once I get my tracks reprinted. Or I can wait until I get all my modifications done and just get a new one completely reprinted. Specifically these with probably more of a structural solid PLA. So that's going to be it for a bit until I can get all my tweaks and twerks done. That will be it. This is Pixis Designs, signing out.